Hey, it's Mark Stoiber here, and welcome back to Brands Investors Love. This is a podcast in the service of entrepreneurs who are trying to create brands that make life a whole lot easier when it comes to securing investment and building a company, as well as investors who are looking for the right stuff when it comes to finding companies to invest in. Today on the show, I have got a very special guest. His name is Stephen Woessner. He is with Predictive ROI, and there's a bit of a backstory here. Last summer, I went through a nasty lull with my own business, and I was forced to analyze exactly what the heck I had done wrong. And two of the things that I had done wrong was, one, I hadn't created a proper funnel. So I didn't have any deal flow, which means that I was at the mercy of people referring business to me. The second thing that I was doing wrong was that I hadn't tightly niched my product, so that my niche was essentially anybody who wanted to work with me. I started working with Stephen and his team, Hannah and Eric, and they helped me so much. I would recommend anybody to sign up for the Facebook group Predictive ROI, download the free book. It's actually not some passive aggressive sales pitch. It's a book with real value, and join the group, join the discussion, and learn about creating a reliable funnel. Stephen, is that about right?
It is about right, and thank you very much for that, and the invitation to be here with you, Mark.
No, I think you got something that is extremely valuable to talk about. That is clearing up the fog around traction. So we all know that there's various rounds of investment. There are various expectations that investors should have of entrepreneurs, and there are various preconceptions that entrepreneurs have on how much traction to have, what type of traction to have, at what stage. And with investment tightening up, are the goalposts shifting around? Is there a different definition nowadays? I want you just to talk about one thing, which is your perception of what traction is the right kind of traction at, say, the angel stage versus the Series A stage.
Well, and those are dramatically different stages, right? And the expectations for not only team, but offering and all of that are vastly different in being able to bridge that gap. So I guess I would say it this way. If I was running a company today that was either trying to attract an angel round or had already attracted an angel round, I would be leading it this way, that I would want to make sure that we were getting some visibility in the marketplace, that we're getting some product market fit, that type of thing. And so that we were getting some good beta test and people pushing on the product and or service, whatever that might be, and giving us some great feedback. We would hopefully be having the conversations around, we're burning a little bit less cash this quarter than we were last quarter, and probably not to the profitability stage yet. But we're starting to see some decrease in reliance on the money that we got in the bank, and that our revenue stream is actually starting to kind of buoy us a little bit. So our P&L and balance sheet are maybe looking a little bit more healthy quarter on quarter. And then we would be having very serious conversations and very candid conversations with our leadership team and whoever makes up that team of investors about the one main goal. In my opinion, the one main goal at that stage, and that is, how do we get to the next stage, right? And if we've done a good job of making sure that the people around the table, people with board seats or people with other types of influence, that they didn't just contribute money, but they contributed smart money, and that's not just lip service when we're trying to attract money from certain investors. That if we're really looking for smart money, then part of our job at that angel stage is to, how do we get to Series A? And yes, it's about, having a product market fit so that we know that we've got something to invest in as we then go and attract Series A money. But more importantly, that we've had great conversations around moving from one stage to the next stage. And that doesn't mean having, this predictable, repeatable model, or to your point, the funnel. That's in, once we get into Series A, once we get into Series B, right? In the angel round, it's way too early.
Mhm. Now there is something that you can start building in the angel round, though. I mean, you're assessing product market fit. You're doing non-scalable activities. That is, you're
Mhm.
investing an inordinate amount of time in each customer to make sure that they're getting what they want and your product is doing exactly what it should be doing. Even at that stage, though, I mean, you stressed the importance of collecting not just testimonials but case studies with real numbers.
Yeah.
Do you think it's too early to start going for that?
I don't think it's too early. I think that the case studies, proof of concept, social proof, whatever we want to call it, does this thing work? I think it's
Mhm.
very appropriate at that early stage. And you know my bias toward authority,
Mhm.
and so making sure that the business is niched down. What are we doing from a thought leadership perspective? How are we building audience? How are we being helpful? How are we not just trying to schlep a thing and sell a thing, but how are we actually speaking to business issues and challenges? Because not only is that going to help us in the angel round with prospective clients, customers, whatever, it's going to help us build an audience. But those are all wonderful metrics then as we
Mhm.
move into Series A, as we move into Series B. Whoa, if we put a little bit more gasoline on that authority fire, then that means we might present at this conference, or maybe there's something in here that deserves a provisional patent or a full patent.
Mhm.
Or maybe there's something in here that we could write a book about. So all of those things, sort of the gestation period, if you will, of that is in the kind of angel early on rounds. But so having proof points against those things of do we really have something here is great, because that then attracts Series A and so on and so forth.
You hit on a real strong point there with, is there something to write a book about? I think the early stages too are an amazing time. Any time is an amazing time, but early stage is an amazing time to figure out what you do best that people love that your competitors can't touch,
Mm.
and going deep on that expertise. And you've talked about hosting webinars. One of the things I did as a result of your chats with me, or I started up Brands Investors Love, which is a LinkedIn page devoted to investors and entrepreneurs, so that I can share some knowledge, and more important, get experts to share knowledge, and I get full credit. So I get credit for all your brains. uh, but it's also a really good stage to start figuring out if the thing that you think you're putting out there that you're an expert at is the thing that people actually want. Because I've been surprised, and I know entrepreneurs have been surprised, that people want them to be experts in stuff they go, really? I thought
Mhm.
I was an expert in A. You want me to be an expert in B. Have you encountered that before?
Sure. And I don't think that ever goes away.
Mm.
I think that that's just part of sort of the natural growth or trajectory or life cycle of any business. We should consistently have our ear to the ground and having very candid, open conversations with clients and prospects and customers, and channels of distribution, people in the industry, and so forth, because it's going to let us know how we need to tweak something. Is our internal perception completely different than what the market values? Are we speaking to the right business issues and challenges? And does our offering actually solve that in a meaningful way? And then to take that further, whatever it is that we find through all that discovery, that's what we should be teaching about. That's what we should be leaning into in delivering. And that's what our team should be talking about, so that we're always helpful with our clients and prospects and so forth. And then if if a company does that in the early stages of their founding, which is what we're talking about here, they're going to be light years ahead. Right. And so, like, I was speaking with a founder a couple of months ago, and he was talking about like angel rounds and Series A and that kind of stuff. And he really surprised me, but I was like, good on him for saying this. He said, we're doing something completely different basically than what our investors would expect. And I said, okay, what's that? And basically, we're not spending money. And we're not doing what the typical company does, and that is when they get around, if it's angel, if it's Series A or whatever, then it's like a spending bonanza,
Mhm.
because we're not doing that. And I'm like, wow, that's really smart. Instead, they're doubling down on what their clients want. How do we adjust to that? How do we teach to that? Because they recognize that angel is one, obviously the start, then to Series A, Series B, then the conversation about strategic transactions really starts to kick in. And they realize that they're going to get this done in the early rounds first,
Mhm.
before thinking about like, oh, we're trying to serve the world and we got this huge full pipeline. It's nonsense at the angel round.
Final question. You've worked with a lot of founders, you know, a lot of investors. The most common mistake that you see that would be easy to fix, where you go, oh, not this again. Is there anything like that?
Sure. So, okay, I'll answer that question from the two sides of that question. So the most common mistake that I think that founders make is by trying to conquer the world at the angel stage, instead of realizing that there are several business principles and fundamentals that we've talked about in this conversation. That's where their focus should be. It's 2 or 3 key metrics. That's it. Stop trying to boil the ocean at the angel round. You don't have the time, space, resources, team. You don't. So what are the 3 metrics, the 3 vital metrics that are going to get you to Series A? That's it.
What are the 3 metrics that you see most often that would make the most impression?
Well, I think it's several, depending upon what type of business that they're in, right? But of course, you're never going to get away from the revenue piece, right? You're never going to get away from the cash burn rate piece. You're just not, right? And then I think the last metric, the third metric, that is kind of these other 2 are leading indicators, but then I think it's the social proof metric of, does this actually solve a business issue and challenge that our market really truly cares about? And then it's not just our internal say, yes, it does, but literally what's the quantifiable body of work that says, yes, people care about this and they're willing to pay for it.
Excellent.
Right. So I think it's those 3 things.
Excellent.
From an investor perspective, I think, you know, the term smart money can't be lip service. I think if you're going to, if I'm an investor and I'm going to invest in a business as an angel, then 2 things that I care about. 1, I really care about anti-dilution. Selfishly, I care about anti-dilution to make sure that I'm protected, at least maybe past the next round. But I have to earn that. And it's not just because I kicked in 300,000, 700,000, 30,000, or whatever the number is. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to request anti-dilution, then you got to back it up with smarts, and you got to earn that, because there's lots of money sitting on the sidelines. So if you're going to say, I'm going to give you smart money, then I think that the onus of obligation is on the investor to say how, not to just attract the sort of naive entrepreneur like, oh, I got an angel who's interested and that person is going to give me $500,000 and they say they're going to really help me open it. I think that they have to be specific.
Yeah. You can't be passive at that stage. Awesome. Stephen, thank you again for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And again, folks, if you can, I can't tell you how much it's helped me and other entrepreneurs. Join the Predictive ROI Facebook group. They have regular meetings where you can swap notes and talk to other entrepreneurs going through the same thing that you are. And while you're in that group, make sure to ask Stephen for a copy of his book. And I can't also recommend highly enough the Predictive ROI Bootcamp, something that I did earlier this year, and it made a huge difference. In fact, now I'm suffering from all the guilt of all the things that I have to do that they assigned to me that I never got done. So Mr. Procrastination, you know, I'm German and I'm Catholic, so I thrive on guilt. So I'm in the perfect spot for myself. Stephen, thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, sir. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you so much.